Hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. This is True Crime in the Morning. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos. You can call me Sleuth if you want to. Today, we will be discussing the Jorden Sopher case out of Wabash, Indiana. This case is originally from about 2006. What's up, Anthony France? Good to see you. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Boston Christian, hello. Night Shadow. Wanda. GP, good to see you. Jerry, what's going on? Good morning to you. Shout out to the Sleuth crew. All right. This one isn't officially a murder, but after talking to the lead detective, Detective Burgess, he called it a homicide. But I don't think that's what they're referring to it as on record. But I think it's safe to say that we will be looking at another murder mystery today. What is up, Frank Meister? Hey, Melissa. How's everybody doing on this fine Tuesday? Mexico, Indiana. Right? We know where she's going with that. Who else lived in Mexico, Indiana, right? Of course, we have to talk about the possible connections between Jorden Sopher and Abby and Libby's case over in Delphi, which is not far from Wabash. What's up? Return the Diamonds. CJK, Cindy Lean. Good to see everybody. Yep, Richard Allen. Yeah, we'll talk about that as well. And I mention it, we're going to listen to my recorded phone call with Detective Burgess. It's about 15 minutes long. I recently released the call on a video that was kind of edited. This will be the unedited version of that. And there's going to be a lot of information within that call. And I asked him about Richard Allen, and he said it was a very interesting question, and that he would be open to hearing, if anybody had any tips or anything like that, or anything to add to that. If they wanted to speak on that, he would be happy to listen. Yeah, Frank, that's interesting because when I was putting everything together for this morning show, I was thinking about you. I was like, man. So I might drop a link towards the end if you're cool with that. If you want to call in and chime in, we can probably spend the last 15 minutes talking about some things. Good to see you, Donna. Freckle Joy, welcome. It's my first day back to work. I'm putting my face on, but listening. Have a great day today. Good to see you, Speculation. What's up, Vertigo? How you doing? Good to see you, Jerry. Hey, tomorrow during the members meeting, I'm going to drop the link so you can call in if you want to. What's up, Don? What are you up to? All right, all right. Have a great day. Night Shadow says, do they have any idea how Jorden died? Not that I know of. I just know that they believe it is foul play. And they're really interested in wanting to talk with the adopted family. And there's some stuff, some talk about the boyfriend as well. But that's all mainly speculation because he's no longer living, of course. A lot of people assume, well, if he hurt himself, it's because of this. There's no facts to back that up, but we will talk about it. But we are getting ahead of ourselves here. Frederica, this is a good one. We'd all really like to find out what happened to her. Yeah, it's a mystery, and she comes off as somebody that may have been going through a whole lot. You know, she basically had her name changed. You know, as a teenager, her whole life changed. Um, Towards the end, there, she wanted nothing to do or didn't want to be around her adopted family, and the last place she was ever seen was with her adopted father. And we're definitely not here to accuse him, but he's not cooperating. As a matter of fact, the adopted family moved, I think, less than a year after she went missing. They moved to Iowa. So, yeah, it's definitely suspicious. And after talking to the lead detective, all he wants to do is talk with that family. That's it. I asked him what the most important thing for him right now in this case. He said he needs to talk with that family. Well, we'll see you there, Vertigo. Hey, what's going on? Good morning, Bobby. CJ says stepdad was suspicious a bit to me. Yeah, I agree with that. 100%. Very suspicious. I mean, why are you not cooperating? And I'm sure he has an explanation for everything, you know, why they moved and all this, but let's hear it. Not, you don't owe it to me. You owe it to Jordan to speak to. You need to go speak to these detectives who are working on this case. You owe it to her. What's up, Kevin? Says, good afternoon, Sleuth. Unfamiliar with this one as well. Thanks for covering these cases. Yeah, this is a case that I was covering early on. My channel has seen some growth over the last year. So I figured, hey, let's get some more eyes on it. Hey, good to see you, Ruckus. Welcome to the chat, my good friend. Speculation says, can everybody leave their DNA on the like button? Sounds like a good idea. You don't want to be a scrub. You can be scrubby, but you don't want to go full scrub. Good to see you, Cindy. Freckled says, I grew up in foster care and had my name changed a bunch of times. See, that sounds awful to me. I feel like that's, when you look back on that, you're like, man, like, what the hell? What's my identity? It really does mess with your head. I'm protective of my last name now. I don't even change it when I get married. Frank says, if I remember correctly, the adoptive mother still lives in Mexico, Indiana. She moved back. She left, and then I think she separated from that person and then moved back to Indiana. But I could be wrong. Why can't the detective talk to the family? They are refusing to speak with him. He's attempted to talk with them and try to get interviews with them. No go. And you'll hear it from his own mouth here during a call. We're going to go through all the information, then we'll listen to the call, and then we'll close it out. And it's even one of the saddest parts about this crime is there's no real photos of her. Like, I literally found 3. I had 4. I lost 1. But this is it. Yeah, and this was like a tiny thumbnail. And then this one here. So I thought that was really sad as well. There's nobody's fighting for Jorden. Nobody. There was no press conference. There wasn't. It's even hard to find an initial report. Like, this is a very sad case. I think I'm going to start. I took this article from truecasefiles.com. It's titled Shedding Light on Missing Unsolved True Crime Stuff. And it looks like you can reach this creator at True Crime Crystals on Instagram. And I also left a link for this article. Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't work that way here, Vertigo. You have to agree to the interview. Well, one, you have to be in the same state, you know? I wonder if they should travel. They should go out there and try to get an interview. I wonder if they could do that. See, that makes me sad, Freckled. 3 photos. This is it, guys. There might be a couple more. Yeah, Frederica. I was one of the first people to get that information broken to the public. And it was during this conversation with the detective that he actually sent me the precise location of where she was found. And we'll look at that location here. I made a video about it like almost 2 years ago now. True crime and other stuff. What's up? Reminds me of Libby a little. Yeah. Kind of a lot. She had just turned 18 years of age. And she was kind of couch surfing. She was staying here, staying there for a couple weeks at a time, bouncing from one friend to the other. Yeah, Wabash, Indiana. All right. Jorden Sopher had just recently turned 18 years old when she vanished on May 23rd, 2006. The teen girl lived in Wabash, Indiana at the time of her disappearance. Jorden had spent most of her childhood in the foster system before she was adopted at the age of 16 by Robert and Linda Sopher. That same year, she dropped out of high school and later began working at a local Hardee's restaurant. However, during the spring of 2006, Jorden told her family members that she planned to re-enroll in high school and she could get a diploma so that she could get her diploma. Before she had that opportunity, Jorden seemingly vanished without a trace. Vertigo? That's even more depressing. Katie says she looks so familiar to me. She looks a lot like Libby, if you ask me. True Crime with Talk with Frank Meister says, I spoke with one of Jordan's school friends. What'd you guys talk about? Brad from Outside of the Grid. What's up, my friend? It's another great channel. Jerry says, didn't her boyfriend or one of her friends kill himself after her disappearance? Yes, the boyfriend did. That's another tragic case as well. We might touch on that a little bit. It's pretty sensitive, I'm sure. Yeah, she deserves justice. I mean, how do you go through this rough life just to be dumped in the woods? Somebody needs to pay for that. Boston says she sounds like she was a wonderful child, hard worker. May God bless her. What evil monster? Who did this? That's the question. Who did this? Yep, last seen May 23rd of 2006, and she was supposed to work that day. She left her cell phone and her purse behind. Yeah, I'm still not sure. It could be related to Delphi, Melissa. I'm not sure. I can't say that it is or it isn't. Alrighty. Months before her disappearance, Jordan moved out of her adopted parents' home and had been staying with various relatives and friends in the Wabash area. She was staying with her friend and coworker Aaron Harlan the weekend before her disappearance. The two reportedly last saw each other around 5:15 a.m. on May 23rd, 2006. When Aaron woke up to go to her morning shift at Hardee's, Jordan told Aaron that she was not working until later that day, so she stayed behind as Aaron left for work. Yeah, it's crazy, Boston. You think her family would come forward with all these different photos of her, like, look, this is what she looked like. Because remember, she was missing for 3 years. So between the 3 years that she was missing, her adopted family moved away. Then she was found, I believe, in 2009 by some mushroom hunters. At a later point that morning, Jordan was dropped off at her adoptive parents' house in a truck driven by Corey Bridenthal. According to Jordan's father, Robert Sopher, she spoke briefly to him in the garage before leaving the house on foot. After walking away from the house, Jordan was never seen or heard from again. Later that evening, employees at Hardee's called the Sophers to inquire about Jordan's whereabouts, as she had not shown up to her scheduled shift. This was very out of character for Jordan, so her parents immediately began to worry. They reported her missing the following day. I remember those. We had one of those where you actually put the VHS cassette in it. That's how big they were. It's basically a VCR with a camera on it. Yeah, I agree with that, CJK, 100%. And I can understand if your efforts kind of die down a little bit after 10, 20, 30, 40 years, right? But we're talking just after the crime. No family gatherings, no outreach to the media, no pressure on law enforcement, no Facebook group, no nothing. It's like she didn't it's like they want to make it like she didn't exist, but she did exist. Once police began to investigate, they questioned both Aaron and Corey. Aaron told police that Jordan was not at her house when she returned from her shift at Hardee's at 10:15 that morning. However, all of Jordan's belongings, including her purse, were left behind. Corey told police that Jordan had accidentally left her cell phone in his car when he dropped her off at her parents' house that morning. He later reportedly gave the cell phone to Aaron so she could return it to Jordan. The cell phone was later returned over to investigators, but unfortunately, it did not yield any clues. Police also questioned Linda and Robert Sopher. Linda agreed to take a polygraph exam, which she passed, but Robert refused to take one. Many found this suspicious, but both Linda and Robert maintained that Robert took one of their foster children to the doctor shortly after Jorden left their house that morning. Ruckus Rocks, how deep did you go on this case? Pretty deep. Pretty deep. I don't know. I think all trails lead back to Robert right now. Need to get that polygraph done and a new interview. Boston says, I'm surprised the mushroom hunters didn't stay on this and put out a call for help. What do you mean? I think they reported it immediately. Don says, sounds like the family knows what happened to me. I don't know if it's the family, but I think Robert, he might have something to do with her disappearance. His actions are highly suspicious. I'm not saying he had anything to do with it. I just don't understand how you could leave the state your daughter was missing and refuse to cooperate and make no effort to find her. Yeah, so if you guys can talk about this case or try to cover it, try to find answers. Gosh, it does matter to us. Jordan's case quickly grew cold. Years passed without any clues or trace of her whereabouts. Then in May of 2009, nearly 3 years after Jordan's disappearance, the case had a break. A mushroom hunter at a creek in Peru, Indiana, had spotted human remains amongst a thick canopy of raspberry bushes and honeysuckle. Dental records later confirmed that those remains belonged to Jorden Sopher. Due to the deterioration of the remains, an autopsy was unable to determine the cause of death, but police still began to investigate Jordan's death as a homicide. It is believed that Jordan's body was in the spot where she was found, ever since her disappearance. The clothes she was wearing that day were found amongst the remains. Years have passed since the discovery of Jordan's body, yet her murder remains unsolved. There has been very little information available about the investigation, especially in more recent years. Still, anyone with information that could lead to Jordan's case being solved is encouraged to call 1 877 226 1026 and you can submit an anonymous tip. So once again, that's from True Case Files. You can reach out to the creator on Instagram at True Crime Crystals. Looks like these are the family members that provided. So every photo that we have, I think, comes from them.
She played with our boys.
A family of her own.
So it looks like one is from a school ID. And then one was probably a school photo that was shared with family members. And I think that's directly to the Wabash police. I think I have that number somewhere. Boston says those poor mushroom hunters who found her, that must have been a nightmare for them. Yeah, these mushroom hunters, they seem to find a lot of these missing people. So whatever it takes to find mushrooms, that's what people need to be doing to find these missing people. You know, you got to go into the brush. These killers are trying to conceal the body, you know. They're going to take some scratches here and there to get a little bit deeper in there. Welcome, Nedra. Welcome. Thank you. This is early newspaper clipping from when she was found. All right, let's listen to my call. So it went from Detective Long, and then it was passed over to Burgess a few years back. This is the unedited phone call. At the beginning, you're going to hear a couple parts where it goes in and out. Don't worry, that's only a few times at the beginning of the call, and then it kind of stops, and then it'll be clear from there on out. Can you guys hear that?
Sergeant Burgess.
Yes, Detective Bartis. This is Patrick with Sleuth Intuition Online. I was calling to get some information on Jorden Sopher.
Okay. What information are you requesting?
Well, we plan on covering that case here extensively over the next couple months. Is there any updates you can provide us or anything that you want the public to know right now? Welcome to members, Nedra. I'll see you tomorrow.
Well, just in general stuff, if there's anybody that has information, we'd be more than happy to interview them or talk to them and follow up on any new information.
That's my name, Vertigo Patrick.
Move the case forward.
It is an active case.
Well, I had this conversation with, I think one of your coworkers. There was a female that called me about this some time ago. I can't remember.
So he's talking about a person on Reddit, and I forgot her name, but he's like, your coworker. And I was like, well, I'm familiar. And it's funny because I had just read the Reddit article that she posted, and in there she said that she did reach out to Detective Burgess trying to look for the crime scene, trying to get information on the crime scene location. So I was familiar with what he was talking about at this point. I just thought that was funny.
Name. Is anybody coming to mind to you?
Yeah, I think I'm familiar with the request, the information on the location of the crime scene.
Yeah. So she had talked to me and it said sometime after the first of the year, maybe come in and, there's certain things we can tell you guys, certain things we can't. Everything will be very general, obviously, because we don't want to jeopardize the investigation by putting out information that only the suspect should know and cause a call in things. And at first you might think that, well, for them to know that, they must versus what they've heard. So we don't want to get a false lead. But again, and some more history about Jorden.
Should clear up right here.
Her life back then, because ISP came into this investigation.
Yep, the Patties. Not the Patties, but the Patties.
I would like to go back and talk with the family more in depth to get a little more background information about her and her circles that she was in and kind of the family life and how all that came about that we never really got the opportunity to do because during the time from when she went missing and she was found, the family had moved from Wabash to, I believe, Iowa.
Did you guys hear that? They didn't even have an opportunity to work with the family. They got up and they moved to another state.
And so I had one brief meeting with them after the remains were found. And, since then, I kind of like to sit down with them and go through some more information, get a little more information about her.
Okay. Yep.
And some of the people she was.
Don is asking, so the detective thinks foul play for sure. Yeah, you'll hear during the call, I ask him straight up, so you think this was, a homicide? And he says, yes, 100%.
With and hung out with. Wabash did a lot of that, but in these situations, I don't think it hurts to have more information.
Frederica is asking, I wonder where Richard Allen was at this time. I think I have that information. Hold on. Well, at least I thought I did. Hold on. Okay, I put it in the wrong folder. Here it is. Thought I was going crazy. It's like, I know I have that. All right. So this red flag or this red marker here is where Richard Allen was living all the way up until the end of 2005. Towards the end of 2005, he moved, I think, to Greenville, which is somewhere down over here, I believe. Or maybe even this way. Not quite sure where that is. But he still had his P.O. box all the way till the end of like 2008 here in this general area. Now, this is where Jorden lived, and this is where she was found. And we'll look at this in more detail later. But that's a pretty close little... You know, if he's moving, he's coming back to get his things. And the thing about Wabash is where she went missing, or apparently if her father is telling the truth and she went out for a walk, you know, maybe she went for a cigarette. Who knows? But there is a park right across the street from where she lives. And it's very similar. It's a historical park. And it's very similar to the Monon High Bridge Trail. So I hope that helps a little bit.
Because, you know, a missing person investigation is a lot different than a homicide investigation, because there's so many variables as to why a missing person could be voluntary. There could be foul play. You know, there's just so many different aspects to that.
Hey, true crime.
Then once you know you have a homicide investigation, now you know there's foul play. So there's information they may have not gathered back then. Young teenage girl. From all accounts, what I understand is she kind of was out on her own to some degree, doing what she wanted without supervision and those type of things. And so maybe the mindset of them back then was, well, you know, she'll turn up type of thing. So the sense of urgency.
Sounds like they thought maybe she ran away, is what he's trying to say.
In the beginning may not have been, you know, recognized, I guess. Not thinking that there was a homicide that occurred, just thinking that, well, she's just off, you know, like some teenage.
And why would the adopted parents think that she ran away? Why would she leave her purse, an untouched savings account, and her phone? Why would she do that? Those would be the most important things, in my opinion, that you would need now that you're on your own.
Teenagers do. They just go do what they want to do and don't listen to mom and dad type of thing.
Well, what do you think? Do you think that this is there's foul play?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. You heard it there.
Yeah, she didn't just go out there and, you know, die on her own. I'm convinced that somebody caused her death, and then she was placed there, or, you know, I suppose she could have been killed there. But I think somebody's responsible for her death by all means.
Were you able to clear Corey Bridenthal at all?
Well, we never really say we clear anybody until we have somebody under arrest.
Okay.
And a conviction. You know what I'm saying? So all I can say is there was never any evidence or enough evidence, or however you want to term that, to make an arrest in the case for whoever may have been the suspect.
Physical evidence, anything like that? Boston, she worked at Hardee's.
I mean, yeah, there's some physical evidence. I can't disclose what it is, but yeah, we have physical evidence.
And the family, when you say you wish you could kind of have more communication and idea of what was going on around that time with her, there seems to be something going on. She was recently adopted as a teenager. So are you referring to her original family or her adopted family?
Her adopted family, the folks that were, her care providers at that time. If they would be willing to come and sit down, I'd be more than happy to talk to them a little more in depth about her and how she was.
What's going on, Rain Dancer? I'm talking with Detective Burgess. He is the lead investigator on the Jorden Sopher case. This call is about a year old now, I think.
Who she was. Maybe that'll give us a little insight on what happened or how it happened or who might be responsible.
Nothing strange with her employer, Hardee's, or the roommate. I know she was bouncing around from place to place. Anything strange there that you can tell us?
I'd say nothing that comes to mind from. It's been a little while since I reviewed the case, but nothing that I don't recall anything with those particular individuals or locations that would drew any suspicion. Again, you don't know what you don't know. But nothing.
What's up, Grunge?
Nothing that I can recall that there was anything suspicious about those in particular.
Final question. I want to thank you for your time. I know you're busy. Well, actually, two questions. Did you speak with Scott Long at all about the case?
He and I actually worked the case together. When this happened, so basically she went missing in Wabash. They took that report, missing persons report, and conducted that investigation. So later, when her remains were found, those were found in Miami County. So now you had two counties of jurisdiction. So the prosecutor of Miami County conferred with the prosecutor of Wabash County. And so they decided then there was, possibly two counties involved in this, one where she went missing, one where she was found, and then trying to determine where the crime.
And what he's talking about here, where she was found and that location, we're going to go over that in detail, and then we're going to bring Frank on as well.
Actually occurred. Decided that state police would come in and work with Wabash Police Department as kind of a joint effort. So Scott and I worked together, and then some other officers in this department, in addition to him, I worked with. I'll tell you his name here in a minute. He is chief at North Manchester, not Rick Kirk. Last name's Kirk. I'm trying to remember his first name. A B C D E F G H I J K. Going through the alphabet, that's how I remember stuff. Oh boy, it's escaping.
Yeah, I'll pull it up right now, Rain Dancer. I have some maps and things prepared. I think he's looking for something.
Which is why Jim came in, but you have to check with them. I can't remember. Maybe it was just both of them worked on it, and so I did some interviews and follow up with some individuals with both of them. They both were Wabash guys, and they were both. Long was getting ready.
Boston says, doesn't that restaurant hire felons? I'm not sure. I know this specific one closed down like a couple years after she went missing. I think in like 2013 and went out of business, or they moved locations or something.
Or not governor, but mayor.
Yes.
If that was the scenario. But yeah, I worked with them. It was a joint investigation, obviously, because they had the missing person. And then because she was found in another county, I came on to work with them on it. But we pretty much everything we did together.
Rain Dancer's asking, did they find clothes at the place where her remains were found? Yes, the clothing that she was wearing when she went missing was found at the location where she was found. And are you guys going to release the exact location where she was found? I know it was right on the border of both counties, but closer in Peru, right?
Yeah, I think that was. I thought that was put out there. Hold on. Let me see. Did they give you the case number?
Yeah, let me see if it matches. I have case number NCMA 1048537.
That might be Wabash. Hold on. I pulled the file the other day.
Yes, Rain Dancer.
Excuse me, I've been battling bronchitis for a little while, and every time I start talking, it flares up.
I'm sorry about that. It says amongst the remains,
Good excuse
her
not
clothing
talking
was
to
found.
people.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So I think he's looking for the media release right now. He's going to email it to me, and we're going to look at it. Gives the precise location. I guess we can look at that now, huh? Hold on, we're almost finished. Like a minute or two left. Because I don't think I asked him about Richard Allen yet.
Let's see.
Or did I?
So, in the news release, what I have that was sent out back then.
I don't know, Boston, if they were
Road,
on her
approximately
or
453 feet south of County Road 20.
Okay, yeah, this must be somewhat edited, this version. All right, let's go ahead and see if Frank's still out there. Frank, if you're out there, I'm going to drop this link. Feel free to call right in. Okay, now the park near where she apparently went walking, according to her her adopted father, is called Paradise Spring Historical Park. And I went ahead and grabbed some photos. This is literally right around the corner from her home. Hey, Frank.
What's going on?
How you doing?
Shit, man. I'm glad you're covering a case we looked at last year.
I think I'm getting some feedback from on your end.
Hold on a second here. How's that?
Let me see.
Is that better?
No, I'm echoing. Do you have headphones?
Yeah. Oh, let me put them in. Hold on.
I think that's
what it is.
Yeah, hold on a second.
Echo.
Yep.
Hello.
Oh, hold on, Bo. Shit. Here, what I'll do, dude, is I'll back out and I'll go on my computer and put my headset on.
Alrighty.
Alrighty. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Alrighty, guys. While we're waiting on Frank, so this is that park I was referring to. It's an historical park. I mean, you got the train trestle going right through the middle of it, crossing a river. Plenty of hiking space. It's a really long trail. You can actually fish this little creek here. And apparently, if her stepfather's not involved and he's telling the truth, and according to him, he gave her a kiss and she went on a walk. I'm going to go take a walk. And this is right around the corner from where she was living at that time, from his home. It looks a lot like the Monon High Bridge Trail area. Mm-hmm.
Better?
Yeah. Welcome back, Frank.
All right. Well, the reason why I wanted to come on is because when I was still working with Mark, we covered this case for about a week or two. And I did some deep diving into Jordan's life before the Sopher.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my subscribers is good friends with her biological father. And we were doing a show one night and she was in our chat talking to him at the same time. Well, apparently what went down with Jordan is that he married some lady and there was like 3 or 4 girls involved as far as children with the marriage. Well, the lady he married ended up adopting all the kids as her own. Well, they got separated and she filed for divorce and filed for sole custody of all the children. Allegedly, what's being said is that there was some type of sexual abuse going on. So she got custody of all the kids.
Okay.
Well, when she had Jordan, I guess Jordan was a wild child. And apparently the adoptive mother ended up giving custodial rights to the state for Jordan. That's why she ended up being adopted by the Sophers. At 16 years old is when she was adopted.
Erin Maria Willis, right? Is her original name?
Yes. Yep. Sure is. So
okay.
And I mean, I'm thinking, I can't say, I mean, the detective says that he believes she was murdered. I can't say that because we know from the information that I've gathered since I've looked at this case that she was into drugs. And there's a possibility she could have OD'd and they just dumped her body. And you won't be able to tell if she OD'd if she was skeletonized because there's no tissue to test to see if there was any drugs in her system. And if she was murdered, I would think she would probably either have been shot or strangled. And if she was strangled, they would be able to tell in an autopsy just because there's remains. You can still determine if somebody was strangled because of that bone in her throat would be broke if they were strangled.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not an expert on that.
So there's a lot of deep diving. I can get a hold of this subscriber and get the biological father's name and see if we can reach out to him and talk to him if you want to.
I'm more interested to hear what Robert has to say.
Okay. The last I searched on them, I do recall that the wife did move back to Mexico or Wabash. I know she did. I do recall reading about that. About the father, I don't know about him, Robert Sopher.
Mm-hmm.
But I can do some digging into him and see if we can get a hold of him and talk to him.
I've messaged him 3 times over the last 2 years. Yeah, no response.
Yeah, I messaged the adoptive mother too, and she never responded to me either. So all we can do is just keep trying. I mean,
this is where she was found right here. I actually found a video. She was found right up there.
Damn. Right on the creek bed?
And there's actually a boat ramp right
Oh,
there.
yep. You can see it.
Yeah, right.
That
He
is
kind of
crazy.
so in between Wabash and Peru, they left her right here.
We need to try to locate the gentleman that found her remains, and see if we can get an exact location.
Yeah, I think there was some kind of comment from him. Let me see. I think his name might be in here. This was the media release that they sent me. Mushroom hunters discovered what was believed to be human skeletal remains.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I don't think his name's in here. Yeah, I don't
No.
think his name is in here.
What? Man, we can't even get the report on the remains being found either. That's all sealed because I've tried to get everything for that case and everything was sealed.
Well, here are my notes here. She talked to a guidance counselor as well at the
Yep.
Wabash High School.
Yep, I got her name and I even messaged her too, and no response.
Here's another one. At a later point that morning, Jorden was dropped off at her adopted parents' house in a truck driven by Corey, of course, and he's no longer living.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here it is. I found his name. Michael Lee Smith was one of the mushroom hunters.
All right, we'll have
So
to.
during my little deep dive, I found him.
Okay, we'll have to. Michael Lee Smith, get in
Yeah.
contact with him and see if we can talk to him.
Of course, she worked at Hardee's. It's no longer in business. If you want to reach out to the Wabash Police, this is the most updated phone number, 260-563-1111, 111.
Yeah, get the missing person report.
No, I don't have that.
Oh, the Miami County. Well, okay, she was found in Peru or Miami County. She went missing in Wabash.
Yeah, and what's funny is Jorden Sopher was previously from Peru.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we mentioned her original name, Erin Maria Willis. She's believed to have friends in the Marion area. Give me a second. I'm going to sneeze. Ooh, that was wonderful. All right. Let's see what else I got here.
I had one of her school friends end up messaging me last year too, and telling me about this counselor, and that's how I got the name of the counselor. And I looked her up and reached out to her, but she never responded to me. She's no longer a counselor. She runs some type of business for kids like Jorden.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I have there.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll reach out to Wabash and see if I can get a missing persons report and see if they'll send it to me. And then we'll get a hold of Miami County and see what we can as far as paperwork on that case. There's got to be something they can release to us.
I mean, I don't even know. When I spoke to Detective Burgess, he says I haven't even looked at the case file in a while. So I was just kind of like, oh, man.
I would like to know if they've got a cause of death.
I don't think they do. So maybe she did. Maybe she wasn't murdered, but whatever happened to her, somebody did dump her.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And that's blatantly obvious.
I mean, usually the reason you dump a body is because you're trying to conceal it and you're probably trying to hide a crime that you just committed.
Right. What is Melissa saying? I swear his stepdad murdered Jalik Rainwater. What?
Where you see that at?
Down at the bottom of the comments by Melissa. Oh, that must be another case she's talking about. Yeah, in New York. She's talking about a case in New York.
All right. Final thoughts, Frank, on this? We're pretty much out of time. Anything else you wanted to add?
No. Well, I'll start doing some digging. I'll call Wabash and I'll call Miami County and see what I can get as far as paperwork. And I'll contact that sub of mine and see if we can get a hold of the the biological father too. And I will reach out to Robert Sopher and see if he will try to speak to us again. So
Yeah, because I think Robert's ex-wife is back in Wabash, so she's in
yeah,
your state. Maybe it'd be easier to talk with her first.
right. All right, man. Well, I'll try to find out some stuff, and if I can, I'll let you know.
All right, thanks for giving us a call today, Frank. Thank you.
All right, buddy.
Bye. All right, guys, that is going to do it for today's True Crime in the Morning. This, I believe, was episode 12. So I want to thank you guys. If you could, please hit the like button on the way out. If you have anything to add as far as information, anything that needs to be corrected, please leave a comment. And Replay Crew, let us know what you think about today's live stream. And members, we will be getting together tomorrow. Not quite sure what we're going to do. Might cover a couple cases and just kind of open up the floor for calls and open discussion, things like that. Thank you, Melissa. I'll take a look at that case. What's going on, Hiawatha? Hey, Wanda. And I want to welcome Nedra. Welcome to members. We will see you tomorrow. If you want to join the members only Discord, go ahead and leave a comment on the last members message that I left in the community page. And if you have anything or any questions about the members, go ahead and leave it there. And I'll be spending a lot of time there throughout the day preparing for tomorrow's members meeting. So let me know. What's up, Shadowbox? If you ever want to brainstorm Missy Beavers, let me know. No, we're on it. You can expect that this week, actually. We almost went with Missy Beavers today, but I was like, I really wanted to cover Jorden a little bit more. But yeah, we definitely are going to cover that case. I need to do a little bit more research on my end, and then we'll take a look at it. Maybe not tomorrow, but sometime this week for sure on True Crime in the Morning. But thank you guys again. If you could, please hit the like button on the way out. If you're part of the Replay Crew, let me know what you thought. Leave a comment. And anybody watching, if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing or becoming a member. I would appreciate it. And Nedra, we'll see you tomorrow or maybe later today in the community tab for members only. You got it, Sylvia. It was good to see you. What are you up to? All right, guys. Take care. That's all my time. Peace.